It's as I was saying before, I realized I was not recording, so I'm gonna have to repeat some of the things.
It's
So
recording.
yeah, so you're gonna have to forgive us for that. As I was saying, Guti, if you're not ready, you should then scroll over. It's because this is a sensitive conversation. Here we motivating people to have relationship with their parent no matter what.
In all circumstances.
Yes, in all circumstances. We are not looking for perfection. We are not looking for nothing like that. We are looking for a child who's willing to recognize their parents as parents. Mind you, the parents carry blessings, right? They carry burden. That's why you were allowed to be created by those people who are imperfect, who you don't want to talk to today. The same parent carry the right instruments for you to be born through them. They must be the right people to be allowed to create you, because they carry the right should I say they carry a right they carry right instrument for you to to live. They are the right instructors of your life. They might have got failed somewhere, but I believe the reason why you were allowed to come through them, it's because they were right parents for you to be born through them.
They got the formula right.
Yes.
To package
Someone
your
like
existence.
Exactly, exactly. It has nothing to do whether they were able to raise you correctly. There might be some errors that happened, or let's also not forget, we don't know who raised them. Also, we don't know how they were also raised. The imperfection might also be something that was created because of their also exposure. It was also experiences of not having somebody. Maybe also they were raised by a single parent, so they only know as much. So we must be as more forgiving. I like what my friend, when we were discussing, also touch base. I would like, I think, to touch base on that. We are able to have relationship with other people and stuff.
Yeah, I was just telling Lou here that it's funny because we were able, well, we exist with all kinds of relationship, friends, our own children, romantic relationship with people.
Correct.
Yeah, and more often than not, where we love the most, we get hurt the most, right?
Yeah.
But the relationship that you have with your parents is the only one that you actually did not choose.
Yeah.
That love or that relationship itself, that connection, is not something we chose. And there's a natural love and inclination that is within us that connects us to those people forever.
Correct.
Right now, in any other situation, we select those relationships, and if and when there is any kind of disappointment, we make a conscious choice to forgive the people in our lives. And you find people forgive their romantic partners over and over and over again, right?
Even friends.
Even friends, their children. We walk away from any kind of or we forgive. You have a choice. Either you walk away or you stay. Now we cannot, and some people do walk away from their parents.
Yeah,
Right? And in any situation, you've got an option to forgive, or you've got an option to walk away. But I think, from all of these dynamics and all of these relationships, the one with your parents is probably the hardest. And I think that is why it's sensitive.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's often not spoken about, because it also hurts the most, because you have the least control.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In terms of how you process that. But the impact of that often goes way into our adult lives.
Correct.
And that is why we have to have the discussion to say, have you healed, or do you still need to heal? If ever you find that you have any kind of missing piece from the relationship with your parents.
And the longer you also take to heal, the longer the best experience of your life, it's also being taken.
It takes away something.
Yes, it take away something. You are missing your best future while you are. I don't want to say mesmerizing, but you are pouring water into the pains of what happened.
Absolutely. And for as long as your parents are alive, let's start there. You still have some level of control.
Yes.
But I think they start with the position because it's a mindset. And so I'll let you take over in terms of what is your assumed view in terms of the relationship between parent and child.
When you say assume, what do you mean?
So basically, like you started off to say, your parents are your parents.
Yes.
They are your custodians.
Correct.
They are a means of you coming onto earth. They are not perfection.
Yeah, they don't. They have. I don't think God looked at whether they were perfect or not, but the purpose you were brought on earth for, they were the right people. So they should be the right people to be the right parents to be acknowledged by you. It's not because of anything. It's because they were the right people to bring you on earth, and there must be a reason why they were the ones who were who brought you. You see people writing to Kumbulekai, still chasing to find their mother or their parent, which they've never met. Some they go to the graveyard to try to sort things because to show that this relationship is not something that you take it easy. It carries a lot about how you function going forward. So when you acknowledge your parents, you are doing it for yourself.
With
so you
all
can
their imperfections.
Yeah, you are doing it for yourself.
All
so
their
you
mistakes.
so you can flow better. We can also say ourselves, we went to school and get educated and get some degrees. And with the intellect of westernized view, we thought we know too much, right? We thought our parents, I don't know nothing. The bank is wrong. Anyway, they don't know nothing now. But the fact that I think before I get into the fact is that the fact that I'm educated and westernized, and now I think because they're not educated and abaziluto, they are useless anyway. It takes away your blessings. It takes you longer to open the relevant doors of your life, if I may put it that way, right? The sooner your education brings you back to an understanding of where your parents stand, the better.
And your ego and
Yes.
your intelligence.
Yes.
Even if you are not educated.
Yes.
Even your ignorance.
Yes. Because those people were the instruments. Let's acknowledge that. They were the instrument. There is a reason your father, who was more abusive to your mother, allowed to bring you on earth. So if you forget about the wrongdoing, if you forget about the imperfections, and go and grab what is yours, which is the blessing that your parents carry, and respect not because they deserve it. You respect them because they are the ones who brought you. They are the potters of your life. They brought you on earth.
There are no qualifying criteria.
There isn't qualifying criteria at all. It's acknowledged.
All parents are equal by virtue of giving birth, whether your father is a doctor or whether he's a mechanic or whether whatever.
Or he's nothing. Or he didn't go to school.
They are of equal fatherly status to their child.
Exactly, my friend. And the only job that you need to do as a child is to put them in their position. Respect them. Not because they deserve it. Because they are your parents.
And often we've got choices because, relationships have their ups and downs, even with parents. And especially as adults, when some of those, we find ourselves having to make a decision, whether you retaliate or whether you walk away in some instances. And there are consequences to all of this. And sometimes it's a journey.
Yeah.
I think today we are able to have these conversations because we've gone through these journeys.
Correct.
Let us not be too theoretical about these things.
Yes.
All right? Where you realize and you see that, okay, you know what, my parent has 100 million mistakes, and initially it's shattering when you realize, because I think we are all born with an inclination to love them and see them as perfection, and and unfortunately you have your first disappointment, and it's followed by another one and a big and another big one, and you start questioning so many things, and maybe in a bid to protect yourself at times, you completely walk away, or you return fire with fire, or whatever you choose to do in the time. But your decision, your reaction, it still impacts you,
It
right?
does.
And I think as a journey, we are now able, because of the decisions that we have taken in our lives, to free ourselves of their mistakes.
Exactly.
Because a lot of the time we end up, fighting fire with fire, or returning a lack of love with a lack of love, but it actually kills you.
Yes. And
right?
take away from also your kids.
Exactly.
Because
exactly.
you're busy wanting to prove something.
Yep. So it's about coming back to your authentic self. If you are a loving person, if you are someone who loves to serve, please do the same still for the mother or the father who never raised you.
Exactly.
Don't say, well, they never raised me, they don't actually deserve my love. There's an element, and a big element of forgiving that's needed at that point in time. I don't know about forgetting, but
I don't think you can forget,
but you can forgive. You can forgive.
And it's lighten up
your life. It lightens your load.
Yes. And you are able to fly.
It lightens your load.
Fly even higher and become even a better parent to your own kids if you do have kids. You also put your mother's or your father's mistake into your own shoes to see how would also your kids would treat you. How would you accept that? Would you not love to be forgiven by your kids if you make a mistake? Right now, with your relationship with your kids, don't you think you would love them to forgive you? But we don't know the mistakes that we might do that might actually take away our kids, our relationship we have currently with our kids. So it's important to fix this relationship with our own parent so we can be better parents for our kids. And we have less load of what we currently carrying for our parents' mistake or whatever. And
Absolutely.
And we can then be flowing easier. I don't know if you guys you are getting the picture, but our main message is that
maybe let's share some examples.
Yeah, maybe we should do
You start.
Maybe we should do that. Okay, for me, I'm gonna go a little bit personal, right? My father and my mother, they're no longer together, right? And my father is married to somebody else. And somebody else is younger than me. So do you understand the dilemma and the bitterness that comes with that? But before I even get myself into this wahala, or should I say drama, right? I took myself out, right? And be a child and focus on being a child of the same man who have demolished the existing family, if I may put it that way, because the old family is no longer in existence. It's there, but it's no longer a family. But when I started to take my position, actually I did that earlier. I did have my educational drama, ne? I'm not exempted.
You had a higher sense
throw my toys there.
Self.
Yes, and go. And show what I'm educated and gaga. This is absolutely unacceptable. Walking out. But I noticed that I was the one who's dying inside because I'm losing a lot by doing that. I'm losing my father. And how do I move forward without my father? I couldn't do that. And then I had to look beyond that and see him as my dad and have a relationship with him. Not because the circumstances disappeared. No, it's still there. But I chose to have the relationship with my dad. And when I did that, I was more, I don't know, the biggest jacket of my life was taken out. And I'm able to laugh with my dad. I'm able to have a relationship. I would say I even gave him a car to use with that family.
Yo.
To use with
Above left.
that family. I
Aye.
mean, do you understand what the people are reaping from where they didn't sow? But what is important is my dad here. It's not the mistakes that he did or whatever. If I focus on that, that is a lifetime issue that might not get me into where I need to go. But for me to then move forward and be successful in what I do is to still see this man who is who have other people who are reaping where they didn't sow, and still have a relationship with this man and see him as a father and serve him.
Because at that point, Lou, from what you're saying,
Yes.
Your standards, had gone out of your standards,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
He had defied all the boundaries.
Oh,
your
he
personal
does not
boundaries.
deserve to be my dad.
Hey.
He's written off.
Yo.
I can talk to him any words.
Yeah.
Because the person is marrying is
He's
younger
off,
than me.
He's off his throne.
Yes. He brought this useless girl.
Hey.
So do you see the attitude?
Yeah.
The easiest here is to walk out of this drama with immediate effect. But I learned one thing, even if I'm laughing now, it's a serious matter. But I learned, maybe I'm laughing because I've taken my position, which is then to acknowledge my dad and have a relationship with this imperfect man.
Yeah.
And serve him and still see him as deserving. Because if I then write the things that are wrong and right, my sister will not be talking today. So I think if you look into that, what I just shared with you, and you can see I still have my relationship with my dad. I don't care what he did.
And then you get the love that you need.
Except I'm getting,
You
I'm
get
getting
the
my
support
love
that
and
you
I'm getting
need.
my blessings. He says, go my child, go and succeed. That's what I want. And because I also believe he's the right person, that's why I was brought through that man who is doing all these things. He's still the right father for me. So he's still deserving all the respect, all I don't know, all the humbleness. I don't speak to him anyhow. He deserves to be spoken anyhow. Trust me, but now my father. That is my father.
Nah, Papa.
And even you are not even allowed to say bang anything wrong. It has nothing to do with you. You help me respect my father, and that's all.
Because the reality is they're still going through their own life journeys.
Correct.
We happen to be a part of it. For some of us, our parents, gave birth to us when they were young. My mother was 19, my dad was 21. So you can imagine, as I was growing up, they were still exploring their own lives,
Correct.
experimenting their own lives, making their own mistakes within their own relationships. And I was still there. And I was there as part of the mix. You know? And unfortunately, as I grew, all the love, admiration I had, again, in this case, we seem to have a theme around fathers, but there are also mothers as well who
Correct.
have made many mistakes or have hurt their children or whatever the case may be. But for me, I had so much love for my father. He was like the apple of my eye, like the best love you could ever imagine in the world. Okay. And then unfortunately, you start realizing, or let me say, some mistakes are brought to your attention.
Yes.
And when you start opening your eyes, you start, Mara, Vele, why are things like this?
Yeah.
And you start uncovering more and more, and unfortunately through that journey, my love for him, I must say, I think a lot of it became hurt, right? And at some point that hurt, when it became so much, it became hate.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very terrible place to be in when you love someone so much, and through circumstances, not directly at me, but by the virtue of the relationship that they had with my mother, and me, being a part of that, me trying to stop some of that, protect, my mother, for example. I ended up, even advising my mother at the time to say, please leave this man, leave this man,
Yeah.
because it was hurting us so much as children.
Yeah.
But let me say, when I stopped uh, acknowledging the love I had from my father and feeling all the pain and the hurt and ultimately the hate, something within me died, something within me changed, and I acknowledge that, and I think I had a hole in my heart for quite some time, and no one can fill that. No romantic love can fill that. No fantastic job, no money, nothing will fill that.
Yeah.
Right? Um, and I think you've helped me quite a bit in that journey of realizing that, you know what, the pain, the hurt, I don't have to, let me say, I can confront it and I can learn to deal with it, and hopefully even move past that.
Correct.
At the time when you told me this, I thought it was impossible. I was not ready. He
You were
didn't
overwhelmed.
deserve. And why would you forgive someone who's never asked for forgiveness anyway?
Yeah. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
But when I realized the hurt, and I actually said this, to someone close to me, say, my heart, it's an instrument of love.
Yeah.
And for me to say I love anything else freely is actually very difficult. It takes away the quality of my love and my life when I have this burning fire of anger and disappointment in my heart for my father. And ultimately, whether I was ready or not, or through good advice and perspective, put it that way, I did get to a point where I was beginning to evaluate the value of saying, what do I lose by letting this go? And essentially by forgiving. And it doesn't mean that, at that point he is right or it justifies anything that he has done. But it just means at that point in time, I forgave, okay, and I started serving him, however, in my small way that I can, So ultimately, as a child, I take my position as a child to say, you know what, I'm not your wife. Those issues that happen there are between you two. I don't promote what you have done. I don't support what you have done. But I'm not going to, I won't say rob myself, because obviously I was going through a process myself. But I choose to reconnect in the same way, like I said earlier, that we forgive people over and over again. But here, we choose to maybe cut off ties, But ultimately, even if you look at the authority, we as children, we have to put our egos aside. And sometimes your parents might not acknowledge, or they will never even realize their mistakes.
Correct.
But we can still look to still serve where we can. But there's another element that we spoke about, because there are the term around toxic parents, toxic this. We don't want toxic situations. We are not about that life.
No.
Right? So if there's an abuse situation and so forth, doesn't mean you don't confront issues.
Yeah, you have to.
Right? But it's important that you don't harbor a lifetime of disappointment, of hurt and pain, and all. And maybe you can teach your parents better. I think we know better.
Yes, we know.
We live better.
And we teach them with love. Not with opposing to say this is how it should have been done.
Yes.
But we show them with love.
Yes.
And they might start maybe seeing things differently when we show them with love.
Yes.
Not because they are more deserving. I like to say that because people, they say, but they don't deserve it. Not because of that. Show them with love. They might come into your boat. They might also become your best friend. As I'm saying, my dad, now we are best friends. You can't meet us on the road and see what I just told you. But that's why I'm saying it's important. It's important to have your relationship with your parents. And as you can see, I think we also have other examples that we can go through, but I feel like we have touched base the most, so they can also view, would say, it's not because we have it all ourselves. We don't have it all, and I think when you then acknowledge your parents, I feel like life then does flow easier. So it helps you. You are the one who benefit by doing that at the end of the day. You are the one who benefit in having less of load that you carry, and have the opportunity to be the best you can be yourself without carrying all the issues that are happening. And it's not like when you are doing it, it won't be happening again or something like that. You're not doing it so you are testing waters if it will happen, and it might happen, but it has nothing to do with you. You do your part, and that's it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we are going to end this video here, and think about it. You have nothing to lose to have your relationship with your parent. You have nothing to lose. Try it and see if it does actually make a difference in your life. But again, you can choose not to try it. But just remember, you have nothing to lose. Remember to subscribe, hit that subscription button, comment below. And my friend here, if you like more videos with my friend, comment below, and we will share with you our perception as we live life